Can we just do this?
Yeah, but
I just
no.
did it. What do you mean? Why can't you?
Because now we're on the floor. But
Hi, welcome back to TV Debris. Today we're going to be looking at Love is Blind Season 8, Episode 9. Let's get started. Taylor and Daniel go over to Daniel's parents' house to meet his family. They meet both of his parents, his brother, and his brother's fiance or girlfriend. I'm really not 100% sure. I think it's his fiance. And Daniel's sister, who was born blind, who we heard about. They go and sit on the couch and have a discussion about how they feel about this experiment. And Taylor tells Daniel's parents that she really fell in love with him because of the way he phrased things. Like, instead of saying wife, he said mother of my children. And instead of saying, oh yeah, I get that, he would say, I'm right there with you. His parents seem really open to the idea. They said they like the idea of this experiment because they have a daughter who was born blind. So all of their friends and everybody that they've met, it comes from the heart. Like, the care comes from the heart. It's not based on how they look and how they appear, and that's their daughter's whole world. And his parents ask if they've met Taylor's parents yet, and she says no, her parents are still warming up to the idea. They met when they were like 14 and 15, so they just don't fully understand why somebody would want to get married only a few weeks after knowing somebody. Then production goes into a little sit down with Daniel's parents, and they seem ecstatic about Taylor. They said that they give her the approval without reservation, and Daniel's mom said that she's never seen him with a woman like this, and that she feels good that he has somebody else to be close to and to open up to. We head on over to Lauren and Dave, and they're going to I think it's called a spin class. It's like the cycling classes where apparently she works part-time. So two of her friends are there. And even though Dave keeps saying he's super athletic, he really, really struggles to keep up with everybody in that class, which it's probably difficult. I've never done it. It looked like they were doing a lot of little like moves in between just cycling. So it seemed pretty intense. And after the class, they all sit down with two of Lauren's friends. And Dave brings up that he's having a hard time deciding like where his head should be at because of the issues with this past guy. He says that he thinks that the timeline is too soon to when she went to the experiment. Seeing somebody the weekend before is just too soon for him. And Lauren's friends quickly take the charge and go to bat for her. They start telling Dave that it was literally just a match on Hinge that Lauren had with the guy. And apparently he had dated a woman that worked with them, and they were together for 7 years. Her friend Delaney, who is the one that really takes the lead of the conversation, she tells Dave, you're listening to your friends, but they're not really being fully truthful. She literally just matched with the guy on Hinge and they talked a little bit. If you went on a dating app or you went to a bar and flirted with somebody before this, it's the same type of connection. It's not any deeper than that. And Dave's like, well, hanging out with him the week before, and Delaney says she didn't. Lauren didn't hang out with him the weekend before. She was with them at, I guess, a bridal shower. So there's a lot of conflicting information because Delaney also says that this guy messaged her on Instagram and was like, oh, let's blow this wedding up. So Delaney and Melissa really believe that this guy is just after his 15 minutes of fame and wants to be on television, and that's as deep as this is. He's trying to make it seem like him and Lauren were something a lot more than they ever were because he wants to be on TV, which of course is totally fucking ridiculous. It's so juvenile and stupid. But Dave seems like he's still really struggling. He's like, oh, my friends just want me to have all the facts of the situation. And Lauren's friends, Delaney and Melissa, are telling him, well, they're not giving you the facts of the situation. They clearly don't know the facts of the situation. And honestly, the way that they were speaking, I'm really more inclined to believe Lauren and her friends. Because realistically, even aside from like, of course, Dave is going to trust his friends, we've seen since the very beginning that Dave's friends and family have been on the fence about him doing this from the jump. So if they hear any type of shitty gossip or stupid rumor, they're more inclined, I feel like, to be swayed by it and believe it, especially if it's coming from somebody that they know personally. Then Lauren's friends leave so she and Dave can sit alone and have a private conversation. And the conclusion that she basically comes to is that nothing is going to change until she personally speaks to the people who are believing what this guy is saying and the people that are in his ear trying to make him doubt her. Which I think is right. I don't think that she's never gonna have more trust from him than the people that have been in his life prior to her. So she might as well just have a sit down conversation and try to nip it in the bud, because clearly, like, her being on the other side and him listening to people that are opposing is just never gonna, she's always gonna be helpless in the situation. Nothing is ever going to resolve. Next, Virginia and Devin head over to his parents' house to meet his family. And oh my God, that place is decked out floor to ceiling in Easter decorations. I've never seen so many Easter decorations in one place in my life, not even at the store. His family seems super sweet though. Overall, they were very supportive throughout the entire meeting. They discuss kids and how many each one wants, and Devin's sister Kayla at one point says, oh, Devin wanted 5 and he wanted each one to have their name be one of Devin's initials, so all 5 would spell out his name like an acronym. And he says, no, that was a while ago when I said that I was younger and it was pretty much just a joke. Then Virginia brings up the fact that they talked about a prenup, and you can tell right away in Devin's sister's face that she's not 100% sure about that. And Virginia says that it's just something that makes sense to her, which I agree to. I think a lot of people are a little weird about prenups when they don't really have to be. It makes sense to just want to protect yourself in the worst case scenario, because yeah, nobody really goes into marriage like, oh, this is for sure going to be a divorce, or I hope we get divorced. But it is smart to just be safe in the chance that you do get divorced, which is a highly likely chance. And Devin's brother-in-law asks how she would feel in the future if Devin's mom and dad need a place to stay because they're up in retirement age, but they don't want to put them in a nursing home. Would they be able to live with them? And Virginia's all about it. She's like, yeah, that'd be fine with me. And then they go outside to meet the last member of the family, which is a pig, and it is so cute. I was actually pretty bummed in Virginia that she didn't want to go out there and meet him, but she does not really strike me as the farm animal type of girl. Then Virginia asks to use the bathroom, and Devin and his family discuss the prenup thing, which, yeah, his sister brings it up, which I knew right away. I could tell by her face. I was like, oh, she didn't like the word prenup. She didn't like the sound of that. And Devin reassures his family the same thing. It's just in the case that there is a divorce that they're both protected and they would split and share anything that they acquired together, and that nobody between them is setting out for a divorce or expecting that to happen. It's just a smart, safe way to be. So his parents are in full support, and his mom even says that she feels like Virginia checks all the boxes. Sarah and Ben go to meet up with a couple of his friends, and it's a really quick one. They just sit down and talk about made them both decide to join this experiment, and Sarah says that she was just always interested in connecting with somebody emotionally before physically, and that she's never used any dating apps because of that. And she says that she was really just looking for a partner who was happy and had a zest for life. And his friends bring up the fact that Ben is very religious, which he doesn't like using that term, but I'm just going to use it. Ben is very religious. Sarah says that she had an issue with that for a little bit because her sister is gay and she has a hard time being spiritual because of that. And Ben had told her that he doesn't want the lack of equality that some people believe in to be a reason why she doesn't have a relationship with God. And Sarah assured his friends that she is open to going to services with him. It's just that she really loves her sister and cares deeply about her sister and doesn't want to be part of something that looks at her sister as lesser than. And Ben's friend says, oh yeah, I'm gay too. I have a girlfriend. So he really did have gay friends. I just thought he was tiptoeing around the word gay, and I thought that was super weird. Then one of Ben's friends says that they're literally glowing and they look so happy and good together. We head on over to Monica and Joey's apartment where they're doing laundry. And Monica asks how it was for him meeting her family, and Joey's intuitive. Joey's pretty quick. He picked up on some shit. So he says it went great with your mom, it went great with your dad, and I can tell that your sister doesn't like me. And Monica's like, yeah, I mean, she pulled me aside and said that she just has some worries about if we're right for each other. And Joey, he impressed me actually with how smart he was here. He starts off by saying, well, did I do anything to make her not like me? And Monica's like, no, definitely not. And he says, has she liked anybody that you've been with? And Monica says, actually, no, she hasn't. She's been pretty tough on anybody, even if they're just friends. And he pipes up and says, do you think that maybe there's some jealousy there? And I was like, yes, Joey. And Monica's like, I don't really know why she's like this. And she tells Joey that maybe it would be better if they sat down and had a one-on-one talk together. And Joey's like, yeah, I'm absolutely open to that, but I think it's more important that you two have a talk together, which he's not wrong. She needs to address this with her sister and tell her sister, listen, either you're going to be supportive or you need to at the very least be respectful. And Joey tells her it's not a deal breaker for him, and if his sisters didn't like somebody, he would take that into consideration, but he can tell that there's just some issues with Monica's sister. And I was like, yes, she's just a witch. Don't let her scare you away. You can't give her the power. That's how people like her grow stronger. Taylor and Daniel go over to her parents' house now to meet her mom and dad. And they walk in, and her dad, she already knows right off the bat that her dad is going to be a lot more supportive, and her mom is going to be the one that needs, I don't want to say convincing, but is a little bit more skeptical of this TV show and this experiment, as they call it. And she goes outside to talk with producers and says that she's just so grateful that her dad is here to see this process because of him being sick lately and all the treatments he's had to go through. It just means more to her than anything that he's here for this. So they sit down with her parents, and her mom right off the bat tells Daniel, like, I'm the one that needs some convincing. And her dad says, yeah, I'm easy. It's no problem with me. And Daniel talks about how he fell in love with her truly and that he wants to be her safe place forever and that he is in love with her. This is real. And then Taylor's mom says, I don't know, Taylor, I just couldn't believe that we'd be in a world where you would get engaged without telling me. And I was like, okay, she's hurt. Like, she's upset about that. And Taylor said, yeah, it was weird not being able to communicate with you, but I let you know as soon as I could. And the cool thing about this experience has been that I've had to trust my gut, whereas a lot of the times I listen to outside sources and outside opinions, and this time I had to rely solely on myself, my intuition, and what I feel. And then actually Daniel's parents come up to the door. They come in for the meeting too, and they sit down and tell Taylor's mom and dad that there comes a point in time with your adult children where you just have to trust their own decisions and be supportive. You can't tell them what to do anymore, but that they have a lot of combined experience between all four of them, and they'll all be ready and willing to help each other out and help Daniel and Taylor out in navigating marriage. And Taylor's mom says that in their family, divorce is not an option. It's just not something they do. So he has to be prepared to work through any and every issue that may come up because it truly is till death do they part for them. And Daniel assures them that that's how he feels too. He knows that he would have to work through everything. Divorce isn't an option in his mind either, and that he always wants to be a safe place for Taylor. So the meeting of the parents is very successful, and then when Daniel's parents leave, he pulls Taylor's parents aside to ask them for their permission to marry their daughter, and they both agree and say yes. And Taylor's mom makes a little joke of, do you realize how crazy that is to say those two things in one sentence? To say nice to meet you and good luck marrying our daughter. And then they share a laugh about that. But yeah, in my opinion, so far, I think Taylor and Daniel are the only ones I can confidently say I truly believe are both going to say I do at the altar. I could be wrong, and it's not that I don't think anybody else will. It's just been kind of tough getting a read on some of these other couples. Although Sarah and Ben seem like they're really, really happy with each other too. But Taylor and Daniel for sure I have my money on. We're back at the apartment with Dave and Lauren, and oh my god, guys, this is just getting brutal at this point. I feel like Lauren's just like an ant that they're just like ripping each limb off of her individually. It's getting ridiculous, this whole situation with some random guy. So it shows Lauren and Dave setting up a bunch of like finger foods and stuff like that for two of his friends to come over and finally have a discussion with Lauren about what's going on, because they're chirping away in Dave's ear and clearly making him feel some type of way. And Dave lets Lauren know that his friends are kind of on standby for whether or not that they should come over, and Lauren's like, because of me? Because I think they should come over. I need to be part of this conversation. So many things are being said about me that I'm not being able to put my side of the story into. And Dave is like, well, yeah, I understand that, but I'm just having a hard time. And he keeps going over the same shit. Like, he just keeps bringing up, oh, well, you were hooking up with somebody the night before we came, and I don't know how you could be in a relationship with somebody and then instantly be ready to get married to somebody else, and you didn't even explicitly say it was over with this guy. You never really said straight up that you guys were done and you weren't a thing anymore. And Lauren says, she takes accountability and she says that there's a lot of things I would have done differently, and clearly I had no idea this was going to become as big of a deal as it is becoming. And she said he was literally just a friends with benefits type guy. She said the last time that they were together, they went out for ice cream and he was telling her about the date he had on Hinge the night before. And she just keeps trying to reassure him that this was never even something she considered an actual relationship. She tells Dave that this has been super hard because this has been the main focus of their entire relationship so far, and they haven't even really gotten to explore whether or not they're a good fit to be together, and that she cried herself to sleep the night before because she feels like she already lost him because of all of this. And Dave says that he's just having a hard time because he thinks about, oh, all this stuff I'm doing with her now was stuff that she was doing with somebody the night before she left. And she's like, one, we weren't doing all this stuff. I never slept at his house. We never had like meetings with each other's friends. And it wasn't as close to coming to the show as he seems to think. She keeps adamantly denying that she was with him the weekend before. But honestly, in my opinion, she should totally just cut her losses with Dave, because why would you want a husband who you can just like talk until you're blue in the face explaining the truth of the situation to, and they're going to just choose stubbornly to believe everything everybody else around them is saying. I understand that she doesn't have as much influence on him as the people that are around him and have been in his life, his whole life, especially his sister, who is another one that just keeps saying that she thinks Lauren is shady for all this. I mean, this is supposed to be your wife, and you can't trust that what she's telling you is true when she's talking about this guy. Like, you need to cut it and just let her go because you can't handle the fact. But I really truly think that Lauren should just, I don't know, save her breath, save her energy. Clearly, this is not your husband. If you are having breakdowns every single day trying to tell him that what he's believing about you isn't true, and he's just adamantly refusing to budge. Like, nobody should have to deal with that. That is just too much and definitely not your person. Oh, and this had me fucked up too. So Lauren asks him what he wants to do about his friends coming over. And he's like, I really don't know. And she's like, okay, well, I don't want us to split up for the night. I want us to spend the night together. And he goes, see, I'm thinking the opposite. I think I need to go for the night. I just can't be here right now. And then he proceeds to, well, she tells him, go hang out with your friends. So I'm assuming what happens is he then leaves and goes to listen to more fucking gossip from these people about Lauren without her input again, which is the only thing she wanted. She just wanted to be able to be part of the conversation that is about her. So in my opinion, just another reason. Tell him, okay, fine, that's it. Like, go ahead, have fun. I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you over this until the end of this fucking experiment. Oh geez, maybe I spoke too soon about Sarah and Ben. Although I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. So Sarah and Ben are sitting on the couch, and Ben says, I'm going to go refill our beers. He gets up and he prances over to the fridge, and then Sarah's sitting on the couch, grabs her phone and goes, and does two huge gasps. So Ben's like, what's going on? You're freaking me out. And she says, this is why I hate having social media and our phone influences back on us, because I'm getting sent this TikTok of this girl talking about how it's shitty that reality shows keep glorifying shitty men that treat women like garbage. And she asks him if he wants to watch it, and he's like, oh no, I saw it at the brewery. Like, I know she's talking about me, even though she didn't use any names. And I just blocked her because I didn't want her to keep coming out and saying stuff that's not true. And Sarah's like, okay, so that's weird. You just blocked her right away? And he's like, I don't want her to say something that's not true. And Sarah gives him, she's like, oh, you think she's going to do something and say something that's not true? And he's like, well, she already has. So the skinny of it is that apparently 4 years ago, he matched with a chick on, I don't know, Tinder, Hinge, one of those fucking dating apps. Those things, by the way, side rant, those things seem to be a real fucking problem for the cast members this season. All the drama we're getting is coming from people swiping yes on Hinge and Tinder. So Ben's like, it ended 4 years ago. We never were in a relationship. We never hooked up. We literally just matched on a dating app. I went to her house one time. We would meet up at the bar to have some drinks, and we maybe kissed, and that's it. And Sarah's like, that's really it? That's really it? I don't know. And Ben's like, well, I mean, I ghosted her afterwards. And she's like, why? And he goes, it was so long ago, I can't remember. And she's like, well, I don't like that answer because I remember what happened in my relationships 4 years ago. And he tells her it wasn't a relationship. They would just meet up sometimes. And she's like, yeah, I just don't really like the answer that you don't remember. And it's like, girl, give him a break. Yeah, he might not be telling the truth, but if this was literally just somebody he talked to a little bit 4 years ago, why is he expected to remember? Like, fuck that. And he tells her, like, that was all that happened. Nothing else had happened. He doesn't know why she's coming out and saying all this. And Sarah says, okay, well, I'm just going to let you know right now, you need to be totally honest with me, because if anything else other than what you're saying about this comes out, I'm done. I won't be able to trust you anymore. And then they leave it on that as like a cliffhanger with like a little bit of like suspense seconds dropped in there of them just like panning the camera to Sarah, panning the camera to Ben. Like, oh no, is he lying? Is he not telling her the full story? But I have a gut feeling that we're going to get to the next episode and it's going to resume this conversation and Ben's going to be like, I promise, that was all. And then they'll move on to the next thing. So that's how the episode ends. So that's all for episode 9 of Love is Blind. I appreciate you being here. And as always, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.